Hey everyone, it's CL and I am filming a bunch of YouTube videos today because I thought I had work today and then it turns out I have a vacation day. So now I'm home and I'm filming videos. So as you can tell, I am not prepared at all. This is my impromptu filming setup. I'm keeping it simple, just kind of lounging in the bed. So yeah, what do I want to talk about today? I'm kind of going in with no plan, but this is something that has been on my mind for a while, like off and on, and I just wanted to talk about it. And that is around fictional characters and falling in love with fictional characters. And I know when it comes to books, I think authors purposely write their characters so we like them, so we can relate to them. Of course, there will always be those characters that we just don't resonate with, and a lot of times if we don't resonate with the characters, we might end up DNFing it or end up not really liking it. But for the majority of the time, I think it's safe to say that authors in general like to make likable, relatable characters that you can admire, I guess. Why do we fall in love with fictional characters? And I'm using that word love very loosely. I know that it's not like a true love, like you are in deep love with this person that doesn't exist. I'm using the word love very loosely and more so as like admiration and more like a crush, like you can have a crush on this fictional character. So I guess my first question I want to put out there, do you agree with me that people fall in love with fictional characters? I, for myself, think yes, that people do. Not only with book characters, but like characters in movies, characters on TV shows. And I actually think there is a term for this. It's fictionophilia. Am I pronouncing that right? I'll put the word on the screen. Where, like, fangirls fall in love with these characters that aren't real. And I think when it comes to books, maybe it's not fictionophilia to that extent, but it is still like a little bit of a crush on these fictional characters. So as far as my first question, I do believe that people can fall in love with fictional characters, even characters that are in books. And that leads me to my next question, like, why do people fall in love with fictional characters? Now, I do want you to put your theory down below in the comments. Let's go ahead and open up the discussion because I'm curious what other people think. So if you had a handful of people and you're describing the character as someone who is tall, someone who has dark hair and dark eyes, each one of those people are going to have like a different vision of what that character looks like. Is they're going to gear it towards their personal preference. So whether they want to take the traditional route and make them like muscular, very strong jawline, and you might have like another person who sees them as more tall and lean and more of a lighter facial features. When it comes to characters, I feel that we fill in the gaps with what they look like, and not only what they look like, but their personality traits as well. What this person's personality is like. So for example, just think of any storyline. You only read one side of a character, like they're brave or they're strong-willed. There's these positive personality traits that the author more often than not portrays, and that's why the character is likable and relatable and desirable, And I think that's why even after the story is over, especially if it's a good story and the author is successful in making you fall in love with the characters, I think that's why a lot of times when the story ends, sometimes we like to continue the storyline in our heads or in our minds, where we imagine what this character would be like in the sequel or in like another universe, alternate universe, and if you think about it, that is generally how fan fiction is spawned, right? That when a story is over, when a series is over, people want to continue the storyline because they fall in love with the characters. And I think it's a great example with fan fiction is that we are filling in the gaps with who these characters are, and we are gearing them towards our personal preferences. So those are the blueprints of the personality traits for that character that the author has laid out. But then if you think about it, we really do fill in the gaps. Like, oh, I'm sure if their storyline continued, we would find that he's like always sweet. He's always this caring and gentle person. But if you think about it, there is no one person on this earth that has only positive personality traits. Like, if you imagine this character in real life, what if, yes, he's this sweet and gentle person, but what if you find that he doesn't like to take out the trash? He doesn't like to help with the dishes, you know? If that was the case in real life, you would find that you really don't like this character as much as you thought you would. So that's what I mean, that we fill in the gaps with all these positive personality traits. That is my theory why we fall in love with fictional characters, because we can essentially make them out to be whoever we want them to be, and no two people will have them be the same person, you know? And that brings me to my next question. Like, why do I think we do that? Why do I think people fall in love with fictional characters? Why do I think that we tend to fill in the gaps with who we think these characters are if we continue the story, you know? And my theory to that question, and I'm curious to know everyone else's, because this is just my perspective of what I've been rolling around in my head, but my theory is that's a little bit tricky for me, because one, if it's an amazing storyline, it's just hard not to fall in love with the story and its characters. But I think when it comes to certain books, I think where you are in life also plays some sort of factor. And what I mean by that is, say if you're someone who is really, you know, really into love, like you want to be loved, you're looking for love, you're looking for like some sort of companionship. I think that if you are a person in that position, like someone who wants love in your life, I think you're more prone to liking and enjoying books that have like a storyline where two people fall in love. And I know not everyone's going to agree with me on that, and everybody is different, but this is just my opinion on why I think sometimes people can, you know, fall in love with fictional characters. I think it also plays a role with where you are in your life. But what I mean in the sense is, if you are a person, for example, who is not currently in a relationship but looks forward to being in love one day, looks forward to meeting your future companion one day, I think when it comes to books like those with a romantic element to it, two people falling in love, I think that you would resonate more with that story because you are looking forward to that, you know? And that's not going to apply for everyone. I know that some people can just enjoy romance because they just enjoy it, you know? But I think in some ways, I do think that where you are in your life does help you or play a role in how you resonate with some books. Not all. I mean, if you read a book about the apocalypse, I definitely think that I don't think that, you know. So that's just like an idea that I have had going on in my head. Not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just an idea that I wanted to throw out there, and a theory that I wanted to throw out there. But I am curious what everyone else thinks. Like, why do we fall in love with fictional characters? What reasons do you think is the case? And, you know, my mind changes every day. So even though I'm filming this and saying one thing today, once I read all your comments, that my opinion can definitely change later. So it's worth having the discussion, right? So that is what I have been thinking about. Please let me know what you think down below in the comments, because I am genuinely curious. What do you guys think? Maybe there's something that you think that I haven't even thought of, you know? So that is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.